Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Embrace yourself. Because today we're talking about something that's not for the faint-hearted. This is the harsh truth of the world we live in. It's the reality of power and control, and how, once you pull the plug on their game, they're shut down. I'm talking about that moment when you make the decision to stop being a pawn, when you choose to remove the influence they have over you. The moment when you take control and everything they've built around you crumbles to the ground. They didn't see it coming. They never prepared for it. And now, it's over. But here's the thing. When you pull that plug, you're not just affecting them. You're affecting everyone around them. You're shaking up the entire system. And if you're not ready for that, you might find yourself in the middle of a storm. But if you are ready, if you understand the weight of what you're doing, if you truly grasp the consequences, then you'll find power like you've never known before. Let's talk about that power. Let's talk about how you pulled the plug and left them paralyzed. This is your moment to take the world by storm. You're the one they thought they could control, the one they thought they could manipulate. They thought you'd stay in the shadows, bow to their every move, follow their script. They thought you were weak. They didn't know what you were truly capable of. They didn't realize that inside you was a fire that was just waiting for the right moment to burn through everything they built. You were their pawn, yes, but now you're the one pulling the strings. It's hard for most people to understand this kind of power. They don't know the cost of taking control. They don't see the sacrifices that come with it. But you know exactly what it took to get to this point. You had to endure their control, their games, their manipulation. You had to survive in the background, pretending to be part of their world, while silently plotting your escape. You had to suffer, to sacrifice, to feel like you were stuck in a never-ending loop of their control. But now you're free, and their game is over. It's not easy to make that decision. It's not easy to walk away from the security, from the comfort, from the illusion of control they give you. But you did it. You saw through their lies, their manipulation, their facade. And you pulled the plug. You severed the connection. You decided that you were done being a part of their game. That's when the walls started to crack. That's when everything started to fall apart. The system they built, the power they thought they had, it was all dependent on you staying in place, on you playing along. But you weren't fooled anymore. You saw it for what it really was. A game that you didn't need to play. A game that wasn't worth your time. And now they're shut down. They didn't see it coming. They didn't anticipate that you'd have the strength to walk away. But now that you've done it, now that you've made that choice, you're going to face the aftermath. It's not going to be easy. There will be people who don't understand, people who will try to pull you back into the game. There will be those who want to see you fail, who want to see you go back to the old ways. But you can't go back. You've seen the truth, and there's no unseeing it. Once you pull the plug, there's no going back to the way things were. You've severed the connection, and it's done. But here's the thing you need to realize. Once you pull the plug on their game, once you shut them down, you're not just leaving them behind. You're stepping into something greater. You're stepping into the world where you control the rules. You're stepping into a new reality, where you get to decide what happens next. You're the one in charge now. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? It's a thought that comes with immense responsibility. Because now, no one else can blame the system. No one else can blame the people who are controlling the game. If things go wrong now, if you fall, it's all on you. But if you succeed, if you rise, you're the one who gets to take credit. You're the one who gets to dictate the future. That's the price of pulling the plug. But there's a catch. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. There's a reason why so few people actually take control like this. There's a reason why so many stay stuck in the game, trapped by the people who think they have power over them. Because taking control is terrifying. It's messy. It's uncertain. It's not glamorous. It's raw. It's real. And you'll face challenges you never thought possible. You'll face enemies you didn't even know existed. You'll see people you once trusted turn against you. But here's the thing you need to understand. You'll also see who's truly on your side. The people who were only with you because of the game will disappear. They'll scatter like rats when the ship starts sinking. But the people who are truly loyal to you, they'll stand with you through the storm. They'll help you rebuild. They'll help you grow. Because once you pull the plug, once you shut them down, the world is yours to shape. And not everyone is capable of that kind of power. But you are. You've proven it. You've done it. You've made the choice to walk away from the game and carve your own path. Now, the only question is, what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to let it consume you? Or are you going to use it to build something greater than you've ever imagined? They'll try to bring you down. Make no mistake about that. The people who thrived off your suffering, who thrived off your submission, they're not going to let go so easily. They'll fight back. They'll try to sabotage you. But remember this, they only have power because you let them. And now that you've pulled the plug, they're powerless. They're shut down. The world doesn't care about your struggles, your pain, your journey. The world cares about results. And you're going to show them what happens when someone who has been pushed to their limits finally stands up and takes control. You're going to show them what happens when you pull the plug and shut them down. You're going to show them that you don't need their game to succeed. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You are the one who decides what happens next. So stand tall. Walk with your head held high, because you've made the hardest decision of all. You've stepped out of their game, and now the world is yours. They can't touch you anymore. They can't control you. They're shut down. And you're just getting started. The road ahead is long, and it's going to be hard. But you've already proved that you have what it takes. You've already proved that you're capable of so much more than they ever gave you credit for. And now you're going to show them what real power looks like. You're going to show them that when you pull the plug on their game, it's not the end. It's just the beginning of your reign. You're unstoppable now, and they'll never see it coming. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? The people who thought they had you figured out, the ones who assumed they could predict every move you'd make, they'll never see you coming. When you pulled the plug on their game, when you severed the cords that tied you to their world, they thought you were weak. They thought you would fail. But what they didn't understand was that you were never a part of their game. You were just pretending. You were learning. You were preparing. And now, the moment has come where everything shifts. They can't comprehend the power of your decision. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that you're no longer under their thumb. But what they don't realize is that their reaction to your rise is already in motion. You've already won the first battle. You've taken the first step to freeing yourself from the chains that once bound you. They'll try to discredit you, of course. They'll try to make it seem like you're a fool for turning your back on them. But you know better. You know that in reality, they're scared. They're scared of what happens when someone like you refuses to play by their rules. They're scared because deep down, they know that their reign, their influence, their hold over others was always an illusion. And now, you've exposed that illusion for what it really is. There's a quiet strength in this. It's not the kind of strength that screams for attention, the kind of strength that relies on external validation. No, this is the kind of strength that comes from within. It's the strength of someone who understands that their power does not come from the world around them, but from their own ability to control their fate. It's the strength of someone who has looked at the game, understood its rules, and decided to rewrite them. And here's the hardest part. You'll have moments when you'll doubt yourself. You'll have moments when you question whether you made the right choice. The road you've chosen isn't easy, and you know it. The world is ruthless. The people who once held power over you will not go down quietly. They'll try everything to drag you back into their chaos. They'll try to make you feel small, insignificant. They'll throw every obstacle they can in your path. And in those moments, you'll feel the weight of what you've done. It will feel like the world is pressing down on you, like you're standing at the edge of a precipice, looking down at the abyss below. But don't be afraid. Don't let fear dictate your decisions. Remember, you didn't pull the plug because you were weak. You pulled the plug because you were strong enough to let go of something that no longer served you. And that, right there, is the key. You have the strength to walk away from toxic systems, from toxic people, from toxic patterns that were holding you back. You have the power to let go of the past and move forward into a future that is yours to create. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's uncertain. But that's the price of freedom. That's the cost of taking control of your destiny. You're not going to be handed success on a silver platter. You're not going to be given the keys to the kingdom by someone else. No, you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to claw your way to the top, one step at a time. But here's the difference. Now you're doing it on your terms. Now you're not playing someone else's game. You're playing your own. And that's where the true power lies. They'll try to make you doubt yourself, to make you question your choices, to make you believe that you're better off going back to the life you had. They'll use guilt, manipulation, even fear to try to pull you back into the fold. But you know better now. You've seen behind the curtain. You've seen how the system operates, how it thrives on your submission, on your willingness to comply. And you know that you don't need that system to succeed. You don't need their approval, their permission, their validation. You have everything you need inside of you. The first step to truly taking control of your life is realizing that the game was never about you. It was never about your happiness, your success, your well-being. It was always about them, about the people who used you as a pawn in their own schemes, their own games. They never cared about you. They only cared about what you could do for them. And now, you've taken yourself out of the equation. You've taken yourself off the board, and their game is over. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The moment you pulled the plug on their game, you didn't just cut off the power to them, you also cut off the power to the entire system that they built around themselves. You see, they thought they were in control. They thought they had the upper hand. But the truth is, their control was fragile. It was built on the backs of people like you, people who believed in their lives, people who played along because they didn't know any better. But now you've shattered that illusion. Now you've shown everyone that the system is nothing without you. It's nothing without your compliance. And now that the plug is pulled, everything they've built will begin to crumble. And this is where the real power shift happens. As the dust settles, you'll begin to see the cracks in their empire. You'll begin to see how weak their foundation truly was. All the lies they told, all the manipulation they used to keep people in line, it all starts to unravel. And while they scramble to put the pieces back together, you'll be one step ahead. You'll be building something new, something stronger, something built on your own terms. The most dangerous thing in the world isn't someone who is willing to fight. The most dangerous thing in the world is someone who has nothing left to lose. You've already made the hardest decision. You've already pulled the plug. The worst that can happen is that they try to drag you back into their game, but you won't go back. You can't go back. And that's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you a force to be reckoned with. There will be people who tell you that you're making a mistake. There will be people who try to talk you out of it, who try to convince you that you're better off going back to the way things were. But don't listen to them. Don't let their fear dictate your future. They're scared of change. They're scared of someone like you who isn't afraid to take control of their life. They want you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay in the shadows. But you were never meant for the shadows. You were meant to step into the light. You were meant to break free from the chains that held you down and rise to a level that they could never even dream of. It's going to be a hard journey. You're going to face obstacles you never expected. You're going to encounter resistance from people who want you to fail. But don't back down. Don't give up. You have what it takes to succeed. You've already proven that by pulling the plug and walking away from their game. Now, it's time to show the world what happens when someone who has been underestimated rises to take control. It's time to show them that they'll never see it coming. They'll never see you rise. They'll never see you thrive. And that's your victory. They'll try to play their game again, but you're not playing anymore. You're rewriting the rules. You're creating your own game. And now, they'll have to play by your rules. And the world will watch as you rise, as you build something that's yours, something that's real, something that's built on your terms. And when they see that, when they see your success, when they see what happens, when someone who has been broken rises, they'll know one thing for sure. They'll know that they were never in control. You were always the one who held the power. And now that you've pulled the plug on their game, they'll never see it coming. Because you've already won. You're already unstoppable. And nothing can ever stop you now. You've crossed a threshold, a point of no return. The line between who you were and who you've become has been permanently redrawn. The old version of you, the one that took orders, the one that bent to the whims of others, the one that lived within the rules of someone else's game, no longer exists. You killed that version of yourself when you pulled the plug. You severed the connection between you and the system that sought to control you. The world might try to convince you otherwise. It might throw its challenges at you. But deep down, you know that you are now a force of nature, a hurricane that cannot be stopped. It's not about revenge. It's not about destruction. It's about creation. What you've done, the decision you've made to walk away from their game, it's about you taking ownership of your existence. They had a plan for you, a script they wrote and expected you to follow. But what you've shown them is that you're not bound by anyone else's script. You're writing your own story now, and as long as you hold the pen, no one can dictate the outcome. That's the power you've gained. You're not just a player in the game anymore. You're the one who created it. And that's terrifying to those who've always thought they were the ones holding the power. But here's the thing they don't understand. You didn't just pull the plug on their game. You've pulled the plug on a way of thinking. You've disconnected yourself from a mindset that bound you to their expectations, their norms, their limited beliefs. You didn't just shut down their system. You shut down every limiting thought they ever instilled in you. The ideas they tried to plant in your mind. Those ideas that you weren't enough, that you couldn't go further than what they allowed, that you couldn't rise above the role they handed to you. They're no longer a part of your reality. You've seen the truth now, and the truth is that you were never a small piece in their puzzle. You were always the one holding the pieces, the one who had the ability to reshape the entire game. What they don't realize is that their game was built on a foundation of dependence. They needed you, whether they acknowledged it or not. They needed your energy, your time, your labor, your creativity, your compliance. They needed you to perpetuate their false reality. But once you removed yourself from that equation, their entire operation collapsed like a house of cards. They underestimated your power. They believed they could control you with their promises, their manipulation, their threats. But what they never counted on was your will to break free. And in the moment you stepped away, in the moment you chose to carve your own path, you severed the lifeline that connected you to their illusions. Now, you'll watch them flounder. You'll see them grasp at straws, trying to maintain the power they once had over you, trying to pull you back into their orbit. They'll beg, they'll manipulate, they'll try to convince you that you're nothing without them, that you'll never survive outside their system. But you'll see right through it. Their words will fall flat, because deep down, they never believed in you. They only saw you as a resource, a tool to be used and discarded. And that is the moment of liberation, the moment when you realize just how much of their power was nothing but an illusion. But here's where you'll have to dig deeper. There's a level of personal strength required when you make the decision to walk away from everything they've built, especially when that system has been your entire life for so long. The hardest battles are fought in silence, within your own mind, when you face the aftermath of your choices. The world outside will keep moving. It won't stop for you. It won't slow down. And that's a harsh truth. The people around you may look at you with confusion, disbelief, or even disdain. You may encounter resistance from every corner, people who want to see you fail, who are desperate for you to crawl back into the familiar cage you once lived in. But you know now that you're not just running away from their game. You're running towards something far greater, something that doesn't rely on their rules, their structure, or their approval. It's tempting to listen to the voices of doubt that will echo in your head. The ones that tell you that you made a mistake, that you're crazy for stepping away. Those voices will try to remind you of the security, the comfort, the illusion of safety that you left behind. But here's the truth you need to internalize. Comfort kills growth. Security suffocates potential. You cannot grow while remaining in the same stagnant environment. The only way forward, the only way to break free from the chains of the past, is to step into the unknown, to take the leap, even when the ground beneath you feels uncertain, even when the future seems hazy and unclear. You've already done the hardest part. You've already taken the first step. You've pulled the plug, and in doing so, you've declared war on the system that tried to control you. You've signaled that you're no longer going to follow their script, no longer going to play by their rules. And that, right there, is the moment everything changes. That's the moment the old world crumbles. It's not about tearing things down for the sake of destruction. It's about creating something new, something born from the ashes of the old. You've chosen to forge a new path, one that's uniquely yours. But don't think for a second that this will be easy. The path you've chosen will be filled with struggles, setbacks, and obstacles that seem insurmountable. There will be times when you feel alone, when you question whether you've made the right choice, when everything feels like it's falling apart. But you have to remember something crucial. The greatest victories come from the greatest challenges. The most beautiful diamonds are formed under pressure. And you've just started to face the heat. Now that the plug has been pulled, you're in control. You're the one calling the shots. You decide how the story unfolds. But control isn't just about power, it's about responsibility. When you walk away from the game, when you sever those old ties, you're stepping into a new realm of leadership. And leadership is about taking full accountability for every move you make. It's about being able to stand tall when the world around you is crumbling, to face adversity head on and not back down. The road you're about to walk will test you in ways you never imagined. You'll be forced to make choices that will impact not just your life, but the lives of those around you. And that's where your true strength will emerge, when you learn to make decisions not out of fear, but out of conviction. Remember, the game was never about you. It was about them, their needs, their desires, their control. But now, it's about you. It's about your freedom, your vision, your future. And no, One can take that from you unless you let them. They'll try to pull you back. They'll try to convince you that you belong to their world, that you need them to survive. But you know better now. You know that you don't need them. You never did. They'll look at you in disbelief. They'll wonder how you had the courage to walk away when so many others stayed. They'll wonder why you dared to pull the plug, knowing the risks, knowing that the world might come crashing down. But you'll smile inside, knowing that their doubt, their fear, their confusion are all part of the game they tried to play. But you're not playing anymore, and that's what terrifies them. And as the world begins to witness the ripple effects of your decision, as the dust begins to settle and the truth starts to spread, you'll see the beginning of your reign, the reign of someone who has nothing left to lose, the reign of someone who no longer answers to anyone but themselves. This is where you begin. This is where you build. And this is where you become unstoppable. You have all the power now. It's yours to wield, and there's no going back. In the end, you made the most powerful decision of all, to break free from their control, to pull the plug on their game. And now, there's no turning back. You've stepped into a world where you write your own rules, where you control your own fate. The challenges will come, but so will the victories. With every obstacle, you grow stronger, more unstoppable. You've already proven that nothing can stop you, and the world will soon learn that the moment you took control was the moment you became invincible. Keep going, because this is only the beginning of your reign.